Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here, your commentator, alongside me, TK, who is going to be rounding off the season with me.
Down the inside,
absolutely impossible scene.
This is for the win between these two.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
He needs to get it done now.
Blakey will dive to the inside.
We're robust. We got our elbows out.
Ronar takes the lead.
Because here comes Alfie Butcher.
Can't really complain with that one.
It's not going to be easy. The pressure is on, of course.
Yarda Watmere is your champion.
Welcome back to Premier Sim Gaming League, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to PCF2. It's round number 10. It's the Las Vegas Boulevard. It is probably, at least for me, one of the more anticipated races of the season because there's a chance of an overtake. But joining me for all of the thrills, spills, and, let's face it, almost inevitable drama is the wonderful Amy. First and foremost, my friend, how are we?
Doing very, very well. Great to be back and great to continue this season, which only sees 3 rounds remaining, including this one. So, lots of excitement, lots of buzz, and it's time to get going then with what should be a race, which, as you mentioned, should see some overtaking, I think it's fair to say.
Yes, we've gotten a little bit used to a few races which haven't necessarily had too much overtaking. Tonight could be a different story. We've got that very, very long Las Vegas strip, which does lend itself to a lot of swippy-swappying around. I've invented a new word there. I'm very proud of my new word there. I very much doubt it'll catch on, but let's hope. But yeah, good race last time out, and as always, championship ramifications shaping up to a very interesting end to the season. Omi, talk us through it.
It's a win last time out for Jan Halliday, making it 2 in a row for the driver from Czech Republic as well, and he's been on the podium ever since round number 4. But in terms of your point standings, of course, that's what took place last time. But it is Angelo Di Ortenzio, of course it is Angelo Di Ortenzio, leading the way. 3rd place last time out at Suzuka Circuit, but it is Di Ortenzio with 102 points to his name. He's 18 clear of Jan Halliday, who finds himself in 2nd, and then it's Liam Stevens in 3rd as well. He's had some good consistent results, but would love a trip back to the podium, and he'll definitely be hoping for that very, very soon. Leo Lund's in 4th, and Luca Rapassa is in 5th. In terms of a championship battle, well, we could say game on, but we do have to, of course, remember that even if, let's say, Jan Halliday was to win today and get 16 points to his name, get a bonus point for pole position as well, make it 17, that would bring the gap down to 1 point heading into the final 2 rounds. But we have to remember that Jan Halliday will be missing Mexico at the season finale. So, we would usually say it's heating up, and it is getting closer. We do find ourselves in a scenario where we already are aware that Halliday will be missing a round. So, it does mean that it is still in the hands of Angelo Di Ortenzio, and a driver like Liam Stevens or Leo Lund really has to get on with it and hope for some mistakes for Di Ortenzio. I mentioned Leo Lund's name, but he unfortunately won't be able to join us today. So you can kind of add him into the same boat as Jan Halliday as well.
Indeed, yeah, definitely throwing caution into the wind on Jan Halliday's chances of competing for the championship because, as we mentioned there, yeah, missing Mexico. So on the back foot a little bit there, but anything is possible, anything can happen. But I think it's a really going into that 10th round of the season. It does mean we only have 2 rounds to go after tonight, Brazil and Mexico. And again, Mexico, very long straights, so can lend itself to a little bit of a ding-dong battle, a little bit of a lot of overtaking if the right conditions prevail. We've had a lot, and I mean, in fact, I'm actually not sure if we've had a single race that hasn't had any wet weather. I'd love someone, I might need to go and have a look back, but pretty much every round I feel like I've done, we've seen some level of wet weather, whether that be during qualifying or during the race. And that's definitely thrown a few surprises into the mix. We definitely saw that last time out. No denying that one. Because, well, everything went a bit pear-shaped last time out. Was the Inters better? Was the dry tyres better? It was a real debate. Is it likely we see any rain tonight, do you reckon? I mean, the precedent so far would say it's definitely likely.
Yeah, likely because you're here. I think we've got to get that out of the way. But yeah, Las Vegas in real life, maybe not as much of a chance, but in the game, I saw, and if you were watching that F3 broadcast as well, that is still going on with their race at the moment, they were also discussing a similar thing where in real life, not likely to get it, but here in the game, you shouldn't be surprised if maybe you do get it occasionally. So don't be surprised if we do get more wet weather. That plays a part in that. And yes, as you mentioned, at Suzuka, it basically defined the entire day of action as well. It was so important, the rain coming in, and it completely transformed the race. So it was great to see, and it was great. It was a great addition to the Suzuka round in round number 9 of our campaign. That was, but now of course into round 10 here at Las Vegas. And also I know a lot of the viewers would have been watching the E-Series race that took place here a few weeks ago. I think as they were mentioning on that, the commentators, that Las Vegas just works so well when it comes to overtaking. So you're guaranteed a bit of action after a bit of a season which has had some lull periods, which has had a bit of drama. It is good to go to a round where you are going to get a bit of overtaking. You are going to get a bit of those brinkmanship moments between the drivers, and all the while we're heading into the final rounds, and the championship, not only of course for first, but all the way down is getting so competitive, and we're basically reaching the crunch point. We've of course not even mentioned yet the relegation that is going on at the bottom, where we have the drivers who are at the bottom of the standings trying to get themselves higher up and impress. Impress is exactly what Joe Murphy did, who bolted his way all the way up to P15 in our championship, scoring a 5th place at Suzuka, making the most of the weather. So yeah, it will be fascinating to see who's going to drop down to F3, who's going to get promoted from that tier as well to F2. So most of all, even if we don't have the most competitive championship battle F2 has ever seen, we've got a very interesting thing going on at the bottom of the field, where there is a huge talk of who's going to go down to F3.
Yeah, a real talk of demotions, promotions, what is going on in the realms of possibility. I'm really impressed with myself there. I kid you not, as you said about it being crunch time, I bit into a chip. Which I think is just very poetic. And, well, sod's law. Apologies, you will see me eating. I'm hungry. I've not long gotten home. But we're here for Las Vegas. We're here for a good round of racing. And, well, a stacked lineup as always, and a grid that we've seen race so many times now. We know what to expect. We expect hard, good racing, but very strategic plays, very strategic thinking. But someone, and we've seen it pretty much every time, someone's going to roll the dice on something different. It's just as to how many people want to do it and how they want to try and shake things up. But no doubt, Las Vegas is going to be an interesting one.
one of those drivers who's going to be trying to do exactly what you say. Andre Molnar, one of our, most impressive reserve drivers this season, now finds himself with a full-time seat. Benzoni, who's only done 4 races, has stepped away due to attendance reasons. So it means that Molnar, who, as I mentioned, has had some great performances, 11th in the standings coming into today, has been given that Ferrari seat for the remainder of the season as the Hungarian driver. 7th place in Jeddah. He was fighting for the win and he was contending in that, but he went for the 2-stop strategy that day. But that's not even the most impressive result he's had this season. He was also able to get a 2nd place in Hungary, which was so impressive in his home race as well. So every time he's come here, he has been impressive. He's been showing some great performances, has Molnar. So looking forward to seeing what he's going to do now for the final 3 rounds. Because I remember saying after the 2 rounds that we saw from him as well earlier on in the season. I know he's done a few more recent ones, but I know he's had some issues and there's been some stuff going on at the back, unfortunately, not getting the results that he would have wanted. But the first initial 2 races that he did with us, I remember saying after each and every one of them, it's sad that we won't see him next week properly the season with these performances, because he's a driver who came in and had an impact at the front. And that's not always something you can say about a reserve driver. Completely change and flip how the race was going to run that day.
You've caught me mid-bite, but I completely agree. Absolutely. It's so great to see Molnar in a full-time seat now as well. Bundles of potential. And he's been so good to watch. Like, every round that we've seen him, he has been a standout driver that we've looked at and gone, another good performance, another good performance, another good performance. And that's what these drivers need to do, especially the reserve drivers. The reserve drivers, they are under so much pressure. They could only get 1 or 2 opportunities to step in an entire season. They need to step in and prove why they shouldn't be a reserve driver, why they should be in that full-time seat. Andrea Molnar absolutely done that so far this season, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he has in store for us tonight, which we should be finding out in the next minute or so, because everyone's readying up, qualifying just around the corner now.
Yeah, we're about to get into 18 minutes of qualifying, which awards you a point for pole position. So, it is highly important. There is a lot on the line. It may only be 1 point, but that's what championships come down to, in terms of especially those positions from 2nd and downwards. And I mean, if you are one of those drivers who are finding themselves lower in the standings, trying to keep your spot in F2 next season, that 1 point could be the difference as well. And talking about points, the only driver to not score a point this season is the reserve driver of Quintino. Everyone else who's come in has managed to score at least 1 point as well. So Quintino, the only one, he's had a best result of 11th. That came at Imola, a race which had an opening lap pile-up, if everyone remembers back to that as well. In the wet conditions, we had a start and we had a crash on the exit of the Tamburello chicane, a few cars ploughing into each other. So that was a chaotic race. That was a race where he took his chance, but unfortunately was 1 place away from those points. So he's going to be a driver who's hoping that when he does get the chance to fill in, that he can try and slot himself in to be able to capitalise and to be able to get a good result by the end of today as well. And I mean, it all starts today because, of course, he's in that Red Bull car here for this qualifying session.
Indeed. Now, as I have, and E-Series sponsor boards installed, so I might need a bit of a game restart between now and then. But let's take this to qualifying. 18 minutes to determine who takes 1 point and, well, all of the bragging rights that come with that 1 point as well. But going to be interesting. 18 minutes of qualifying and game audio this week, ladies and gentlemen. We've made upgrades and improvements, and I found out what was wrong and was able to sort it out ahead of this round. But first driver on track, it's Quintino, the man who has no points to his name.
Absolutely. He is finding himself first out there on the circuit. So let's see who's going to find themselves as a contender. First banker lap about to come into play for these drivers. But around a circuit like this, trial and error stuff. Throughout a lot of it, it does mean that these drivers do have to absolutely try their best as well when it comes to that first lap, when it comes to that first run, because you don't know what's going to happen later on. Start of the overtaking into a braking zone. It is going to be a location which has seen so much drama in the past when it has come to PSGL. I remember a crash here in F4 a few seasons ago as well in the battle for the win on the last lap. That made it to the PSGL TikTok account. Wonder whether we'll be able to do this with something from tonight's race. For it, Quintino is about to rotate his way through and get us going with a lap around this the Brazilian driver who dominated F3 when he was in it a few seasons ago. Now trying to find his momentum now in F2, and he's going to be trying to find it around this Las Vegas circuit through the opening sector. He'll navigate his way.
Indeed, yeah, Quintino looking to try and get a good lap on the board, as well as all of these other drivers, everybody out on circuit, beginning their first lap in anger. Quintino taking us through it, rounding out that first sector, nice and smooth there on the exit, and already into that as we head past the Las Vegas sphere and in towards the end of this sector 2 and onto this mini straight. You can lunge and overtake into the next corner, but it is difficult. It is very, very difficult to try and make a move there. But it has happened. It's not unheard of, but this is your main overtaking opportunity here in the race. This long back straight. So long, in fact, that the car can hit VMAX, the top speed that it can even reach. It can get to around here as that DRS opens nice and wide, giving a few extra miles an hour, and that will make all of the difference in the race. It will get you past another car quite convincingly into this braking zone, this tricky chicane, and we might see a couple of people try and go side by side through there, but it is not easy to do that, so keep an eye out for what that could be. But up across the line, a 1:29.7.
Absolutely. Let's see who's going to be able to beat that. Immediately coming across the line, and it's Jacob. Then it is Ben Sabaconi, the fastest lap now, 1:29.635. Expect that to be improving all the way through this session as more and more cars send it across the line as well. Luca Rapassa beginning his lap now at the moment, as a few other drivers get ready to conclude said flying lap. One of them includes Laurie Tulke, about to make his way through as well, and he'll go to second place. Will Tulke as well, a driver who will be hoping to have a good result by the end of today. Has had some appearances in the top 10 when it has come to qualifying, but hasn't been able to break into the top 5, and he'll look to definitely try and change that. And if there is that one circuit where you can afford a bit of a qualifying session which doesn't go to plan, this wouldn't be the worst shout, because the overtaking chance is there, but you still of course want to qualify well and give yourself the best chance, and most of all keep out of chaos. That's exactly what Angelo Di Ortenzio has done across this season, and he is now your fastest driver, 1:29.513 for him, and his of course streak was broken, Byron, last time out, as well as Imtiaz stormed his way to pole at Suzuka, and Angelo Di Ortenzio not able to find the lap time, and now he goes to Ranieri, who's now top.
Indeed, yeah, a bit disappointing, I think, for Angelo Di Ortenzio. I mean, that's a bit of an odd sentence to say, disappointed not to be first. But I suppose that's the expectation that he might be starting to pin on himself because of just the sheer pace that he was having every single round. It was the same story. It was him on pole. So to not be there must have been pretty annoying for Angelo Di Ortenzio, but it does seem like maybe a slight return to form for the Italian man, who sits in second for the time being, but we've seen it before. Ortenzio is no stranger to keeping a little bit on the down low to begin with, but really ramping up towards the end of qualifying and putting in the lap right at the end that just no one can beat. So it'll be interesting to see what Ortenzio can do tonight. But Ranieri, very good lap time on the board, so not looking bad either for the Mercedes man. His teammate wanting to find an improvement there. well, no lap time on the board as of yet, but most of those first laps on the board, and looking at the board, you've got to say, maybe a bit of a disappointing one for a couple of drivers. Andrei Molnar only in 11th. He might have wanted a little bit more from that. And you've got to say as well, I think Lukomsky and probably Nelson Alves as well might have wanted to be a little bit higher, but there's a lot of time for things to change between now and the end of the session.
Yeah, Shimon Lukomsky, a driver who's had many poles in the past when it has come to PCF2 in qualifying as well. Always a driver, especially in the early seasons of PCF2 when he joined, a driver who did manage to slot himself to some poles as well. Not been going his way completely this game cycle, but for Pasquale Ranieri, well, qualifying ban 1 week ago at Suzuka has absolutely bounced back. First opportunity in the next qualifying session and straight to the top. Talking about qualifying bans, that's exactly what Imtiaz is facing. That's the reason why he's already retired the car with no lap time on the board as well. There was a report made by Ferrari and Angela Diotentia to Jan Halliday. That one was cleared. It was all for slipstreaming, but Imtiaz was deemed that it did give an advantage, and they didn't leave a bit of a gap. So it did mean that Imtiaz has got himself a qualifying ban for tonight's Las Vegas race. But as I was mentioning earlier, not the worst track to get a qualifying ban at, because you always know and you always that this moment onwards, once the race.
Yeah, absolutely. There's going to be a lot of opportunities in the race. You did cut out for a little second there, Omi, but yeah, definitely going to be opportunities for Imtiaz to make up a lot of places in this race, and I think he's going to be really looking forward to this one because he's got nothing to lose starting from the back as well. So go for something a little bit different. Go for a strategy that's maybe a little bit ballsy and a little bit out there, because you can afford to do something like that in this sort of race. Tony Hietala, he's someone who might be wanting to really push on with this qualifying lap because he is in 15th at the moment. He will dearly like an improvement to get himself a little bit higher up as those second runs do start to probably get underway. And now Hietala is finding himself at the end of that second sector and heading along that long back straight once more. A tenth and a half improved. That's not too shabby. That's not bad going. A bit of an improvement similar to that in that final sector. Could see him jump himself into that top 10, which is definitely not a bad place to be. So what can Hietala manage? Final couple of corners coming up now. Gabriel Quintino and Joe Murphy as well on their laps respectively behind. I believe it will be Quintino next to come across the line following Hietala. As he comes around the final bend, what will he manage? Up to the line, goes up to 5th. That's not too shabby as well. That's going to make a certain Tony Hietala very, very happy.
It will indeed. A driver who started the season, of course, on pole for our season opener of games like here in PCF2. Has been chasing a return back to that position since. He's just been chasing a result that he can be satisfied with at the end of it. 5th is decent at the moment, but he'll know that he was one of the first drivers on run 2 to come across the line. Now other drivers come over it, and that's exactly the Quintino. Now he's ahead, and he demotes Hietala down to 6th. It's Quintino who goes up to some times on the board as well. Ben Sawakoni, another one who's now attacking down the strip, is improving his lap time, and will be chasing a further improvement in the 3rd sector, hopefully through the braking zone, to elevate himself further to a better lap, as well as he tries to break into the top 5.
Yeah, plenty of drivers looking to try and break into that top 5, and well, plenty of drivers on this lap going to be looking for an improvement. Rishan Jacobs, wow, that's a huge lap time from him to take himself really nicely up there into a very good position here. And yeah, plenty of drivers getting some good lap times out now as we really do start to put on the afterburners a little bit and get some more representative lap times on that board. Larry Tolke, next driver across the line, and well, he does not manage to improve, so maybe a disappointing lap from him, but so many drivers looking to make improvements. And a purple sector 2 for Lukomsky is not a bad way to bolster your 16th place and take that somewhere higher. It's to the top of the timesheets for Lukomsky, a 1:29.381 for the McLaren man, and well, that is not a bad lap time at all. Won't be complaining too much about that one, I reckon, because that is a good place to be in qualifying, right at the front. But Ortenzio on a lap time, purple sector 1, a yellow sector 2, not making the improvement in that second sector that he would have wanted. What is up next as we head into the final sector? Ortenzio, small improvement, but no places gained. So Rishan Jacobs, Ranieri and Lukomsky still ahead, still in front, and they are going to be feeling very happy with where they're sitting at the moment, as well, pretty much final runs soon to come. Those second runs pretty much done and dusted. Yeah, definitely a good second run there for Lukomsky. Very happy Polish man, I am sure.
What an absolutely fantastic front row as it stands as well, and a top 3 even, with Jacobs getting himself back in there, and then Lukomsky. Incredible to see him fight at the to start our season as well. And Ranieri and Jacobs, I should say rather, has had a best result of 8th. When it has come to 1 lap pace so far this season, so 3rd place would mean a lot to him as well. But so many drivers pushing on, so many drivers contending, and that was a brilliant run number 2 of the session. And now all eyes will go to what we're going to see in a few moments' time with our final runs to decide who's taking the bonus point for pole position. As well, a 1:29.381 is the fastest lap time we find ourselves in, of course, beating F3's 1:09.03 that we saw set about 1 hour ago by them. And we now get ready to progress into the final stages of the season and our 3rd last qualifying session of the campaign as well before we head into season 41 as well. So it's going to be interesting to see who's going to be able to find their lap time to take pole. Definitely seems like one of those qualifying sessions, which of course it is, because Angelo Di Ortenzio is not on pole at the moment by a good distance. It definitely seems like one of those more competitive qualifying sessions, more wide open qualifying sessions than we've seen earlier on this season.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely does seem like the dominant form that we've seen from a certain Angelo Di Ortenzio in the last couple of weeks hasn't maybe been all that quite as much as we have maybe gotten used to seeing, as definitely he's been under a lot more pressure, and Lukomsky has really set a strong lap time that means that Ortenzio maybe has to push that a little bit harder to extract a bit more lap time, and that could cause issues for Ortenzio, because push a bit too hard, you've invalidated, and that's it. Now you're waiting for everybody else to finish their lap, and you gotta see what the damage is. But first driver to look to try and make a bit of damage on the road is Nelson Alves, as he takes to the track. 2:45 left on the clock here, and no one really being particularly sluggish out the pit lane. In fact, even the first overtake of the weekend on the road done, I believe that was Luca Rapassa getting ahead there of Nelson Alves, but everyone filtering out, final runs still to come, and I do wonder, what can Ortenzio do? Can everybody else respond? Because, well, Ortenzio, we know he will probably put in a lap time good enough for P1. Can everybody else get themselves into that region as well, I wonder?
That's the question as we prepare for the crunch moment here in this session. We're 2 minutes as we try and set the grid. What should be quite a chaotic race when it comes to the PCF2 Championship. That'll come your way with first of all setting the grid though. A grid which seems to be scrambled at the moment. Will that still be the case, or will our usual suspects be able to find their lap time by the end of this qualifying session? A few more minutes to go then. Here we go. Final run coming all on the line for these drivers. It has to be the circuit navigated to the best of their ability. All the practice now has to be put and get our pole sitter for round number 10 of the season.
Indeed, Luca Rabassa taking to this lap and being that first driver to set a lap time. He's going to have to wait for a lot of people to cross the line to see what they can do and how they could upset his day. But will it be a good day in the office for him? Well, we're going to find out in the next couple of minutes as we head out into that Sector 1. Half a tenth improved for Luca Rabassa. That's not bad going at all. But he's going to need a couple more attempts, really, to get into the top fold here. So he's just going to be looking for as much improvement as possible. Is there a change on the setup that he's made between the last run and the next run? Is there anything he can do to bolster his chances here? Well, coming out of Sector 2 now and onto that long back straight, still only half a tenth improved for him. So not the lap time of dreams that he maybe would have wanted, but it could still be an improvement, and an important improvement, because that half a tenth could take him up to about where Jan Halliday is. So that half a tenth could be a huge and sizable advantage if those around him aren't able to improve. Final chicane done and dusted onto that long straight and that curved starting grid, and with the checker flag falls, and it will be Luca Rabassa going across the line, goes into sixth. What can those behind do? Liam Stevens can't improve. Jan Halliday on a lap, he's on a decent lap, but there's lots of drivers coming across the line, and many driver looking to make a huge improvement.
They are indeed. Here we go then. Who's going to take it? Checkered flag is flying. Alves in third, as you mentioned. Stevens finds himself in sixth. Their lap times are sealed. That's all they can do from this session. Joe Murphy in 18th after all of the celebrations from last time out. What does Jan Halliday do as he sends it across the line? P5. That is tidy start from our race winner from last time out. Larry Tulke to pole position. What a fantastic lap time
What
that
has
was.
happened here?
9.343.
What has happened here? There's been a huge crash, and oh my god, how many drivers have been involved in this? There is no way that those drivers were not improving. About seven, not quite seven drivers actually, about 4 drivers all went out there on the exit of the final chicane. Angelo D'Ortenzio can come across the line. He'll be the last driver across the line other than Gabriel Quintino. He'll go to third. So it's another race where a certain Angelo D'Ortenzio won't take pole position. But what's happened there? A huge crash on the exit of the final corner. 4 drivers involved, 4 drivers, all who didn't get to set a final representative lap time. But qualifying done, Larry Tulke on pole.
Wow, what on earth happened there? You had Tulke getting a pole out of absolutely nowhere, and then you had a big crash further in behind. But it was Tulke, Lukumski, D'Ortenzio, then Ranieri, Alves, Jacobs, Halliday, Stevens, Bowe, and Rapato are top 10, then Ben Sabaconi in 11th, and then it was Sabrino, Quintino, Molnar, Fanzelta, Hietala, Zorzo, Murphy, and Reyes Imtiaz with the qualifying ban. But that was, I think, one of those dramatic endings. Not only we get a shock pole out of absolutely nowhere coming in from Larry, but at the same time, we just see a crash as well come into play. That was absolutely ludicrous stuff.
Yeah, absolutely ludicrous stuff. And not what I was expecting to see on my screen at the end of qualifying. I thought, oh, plenty of drivers. We're going to get some good lap times in. And then 4 drivers all crashed in the blink of an eye. And that is, well, not ideal for so many drivers. And already, as you can imagine, complaints being made in the Discord as to what's happened there. And, well, the feelings and thoughts of the drivers as well. And most certainly, a penny for the thought of Rishan Jacobs, who just simply says, there goes my first front row. since 2023 in PSGL. That says it all. That just says it all for, you know, the sort of lap times a lot of these drivers were setting right at the death, and the fact they won't get to set it.
Such a shame. Such a shame for him. I'm sure he'll definitely try and, well, hopefully get it in the final 2 rounds. But when you finally get that chance to contend at the front, it's all looking promising and then it all just disappears. So disappointing.
Indeed, 3, 4, 5 red lights here in Las Vegas. It might have been disappointing in qualifying, but it is all go here for the race as we get racing. Larry Tolke leading the way, but Lokomsky already thinking about a move down the inside, but he's going to have to get swallowed up here by the likes of Hortensio Ranieri as well, all battling there towards the back. I'm expecting a bit of an incident surely at some point as everybody actually filters through surprisingly cleanly. Larry Tolke leads us away, Simon Lokomsky in second, followed by Hortensio, Pascali Ranieri, Rishan Jacobs, Nelson Alves, Luca Rapassa, Liam Stevens and Jan Halliday. As Sergio Sabrino gets into the top 10, Luca Rapassa and Nelson Alves do battle as well. Opening lap of action and, well, certainly action being provided up and down the grid as Liam Stevens as well sets his sights on Nelson Alves here. Both Aston Martins looking to make move in the opening few laps.
Mediums and hards both in use. There goes a Pollard as well, being pushed over by our race leader as he makes his way through in the lead. Larry Chalky leading the field away then, and he's been able to maintain the advantage. Fantastic stuff for him. Up 4 places when we pass off the start. It has been a superb getaway for him as well. He's getting plenty of places and he'll be looking to try and make some more as we head down into the braking zone. Best overtaking opportunity. Is there anyone who looks for it at the moment? Single file stuff, but they'll all be trying to wait for the opportunity to come down towards the first corner. Lokomsky is definitely tucked in the wheel tracks at the moment as we make our way through a pattern will want another place. He's getting closer to Jacobs, getting closer, not waiting in behind, sends one up the inside and he arrived on the doorstep, didn't stay there for long. Rapassa up 5 places as he completes the opening lap.
Indeed, good start for Rapassa, really, really good start. Not a great start as well for Quintino, Conrad Boehm or Nelson Alves, all 3 of them having lost 3 places on the opening lap of action. But Luca Rapassa, a huge gainer here. Conrad Boehm now down 10 places. What has happened there for the McLaren man has now slots into last on the grid, but a very calm start to the race, you got to say, all things considered. But keep an eye on the likes of Liam Stevens. He's made a place up and been looking quite good so far in this race. Is there better race pace than maybe the qualifying pace suggested? Andrea Molnar ahead of Jan Halliday as well. Plenty of moves being made. That's what Las Vegas does for you.
Absolutely, plenty of overtakes at every part of the circuit. That's where the drivers are risking it at the moment as well. Liam Stevens wants to find a way through. He's currently in 7th, has Rishan Jacobs directly in front of him. Meanwhile, Molnar is flying through up against Sergio Sabrino, who finds himself dropping down to 10th place. So, as we saw, Molnar and Sabrino lose the 1 second to the car ahead. It made it very easy for Molnar to get that position with ease and promote himself up a place. So, Chalky still leading. Fastest lap goes to him for the moment. Lap number 3 out of 25 of this race. All action start as Conrad Boehm there went straight on, as you would have seen a lap ago. He's going to come into the pit lane and retire. So, it's our first retirement of the day.
Yes, first retirement on lap 3. Not a great start to his race, and well, when it rains, it does really pour for Conrad Boehm. Jan Halliday looking to try and make a re-overtake there on Sergio Sabrino. Wasn't able to make it, but certainly an attempt was looking likely there from the Aston Martin man. Those hard tyres, they take a few laps to warm up, but once they are in that working window, you will get a good chunk of pace out of them. So I've got to wonder if that is what is the play here for the likes of Jan Halliday. Slightly slower compound for the first few laps, but then once it gets in that window, it will be fast and it will deliver results for them. But let's take a look at the front of the grid, because Lukomski here could be eyeing up a move for first place. You see him pull out the slipstream there, but he's got to be careful when he pulls out of that slipstream, because if Hortensio wants to make a move on Lukomski, then Lukomski could be forced into making a move on Larry Tolke in front. But you almost don't want to be in the lead of the race here, because it is such a high pressure place to be, and it does make it quite difficult in terms of managing your battery, as into turn 1 Larry Tolke locks up ever so slightly, but Lukomski has a little bit of a worse corner as well, and Hortensio says thank you very much and slots into second place.
Pananda, second place, belongs to the Italian driver. Superb stuff there, as he was able to fight his way by lap number 4 of the contest. Christian Jacobs, the right now highest driver on those hard compound of tyres as well. We've also got Alpes on that strategy, along with Halliday and Neil Bottom that run in this race as well. So plenty of them running the white wall compound of tyre, the rest of them mediums, and we try and navigate their way through. Great to see a bit of strategy differences as well at the start of the races, because we've had plenty of them which have started with everyone on the state compound, and the only real talking point has been who's been able to make a step forward. But now we have seen step forward, we have seen different bolted onto the cars at the start of this one. So see some great over. We're back strip for that to continue as well, as the DRS hauls Angelo and Shimon back into the braking zone. Got that get to 8 tenths. By the end of the race, if it's back down to 2 tenths, it is very quickly as we expect around this Vegas circuit.
Indeed, yeah, and it's so easy to have the overspeed to make an overtake here, and I think that's what they're having to manage. Do I want to make a move now, or do I want to play the long game, leave it a little bit longer, and only make the move down the line when it makes more sense to do so? And I think that's the difficult battle that we're really having to start to weigh up with a lot of these drivers, as now, especially those hard tyres, seem to be coming into more of their window and in a better place, as Nelson Alves is looking quite close to the back of Liam Stevens. As now there's a fight between Lukomski and Ranieri, and Ranieri seems to have really caught Lukomski maybe napping a little bit here, and put a lot of pressure on the pole man, and definitely had to find himself defending a little more than he maybe would have wanted, but it seems like that's opened the door here for Luca Rapassa to really apply the pressure as well. So definitely Luca Rapassa, a huge gainer so far in this race, and he is using those tyres to good effect and using them at the right time to make the right moves.
Case at the moment indeed. Great battling between Ranieri and Lukomski as well, as Ranieri managed to get up the inside. This time it'll be Rapassa who's the one dishing out the overtakes, runs wheel to wheel with the Mercedes car, and it is going to be Ranieri who will stay ahead for the moment, but that was tight as they made their way to the final part of the lap. Going to get closer now, because to the inside line at the final corner, the little kink, and it sees the Racing Bulls driver move on through, and that is now Rapassa up to 4th place, Ranieri down to 5th, still pushing his rival through the early phases of this lap as well. On lap number 6, this is of 25 here at Las Vegas. Tolke doing everything he needs to control things at this one, as they all tackle in. We're getting very interesting. Jacobs gives a little bit of a tap to Ranieri, nudging him through this middle sector at the moment.
And yeah, gotta say, huge move there from Luca Rapassa. Really good battle as well from the pair of them. Ranieri, Rapassa battled side by side into that final chicane really well on the exit, really clean. Nice overtake done. Sold a bit of a dummy, I suppose, a dummy move there into that chicane, and made the real attempt at an overtake on the exit. So I think the idea there for Rapassa was just to compromise, what was going on for Pasquale Ranieri. But I'm not sure if this is the same on your screen, but Rapassa seems to have dropped a few places.
It is. Oh, and he's dropping even more. Is this the race falling apart for Rapasa. Such a disappointment. He finds himself now just directly ahead of his teammate as he's his way backwards and backwards and backwards. And that has to hurt for a driver who did so well at the start. Now he's down to 15. He is dropped down and down and down, and all of the hard work undone at this moment as he loses positions, as Joe Murphy unfortunately will retire from the race as well, and that's Rapasa now in 16th. He finds it just ahead of Empty as Rapasa trying to fight back, and he'll be definitely trying to fight back at the but being under.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what's happened there for Luca Rapasa. I'm really confused, if anything. I didn't see any incident or anything that really stood out to me for why he would lose as many places as he has. I wonder if maybe he just got hit with a little bit of lag or something just to cause a little bit of an issue for him. So I just wonder what's happened there for him. But Nelson Alves, you know, he's continuing to try and get those hard tyres working, as is Rashan Jacobs and Jan Halliday, and it does appear that they are coming a lot more into their window now. They are being able to get a bit more pace out of them, and seems to be a lot closer to the pace of these aging medium compound tyres. So we're used to see in the next couple of laps, if we see a lot of moves coming from the likes of, you know, Rashan Jacobs and Jan Halliday. We know Jan Halliday is never against making a bit of an audacious move, and this is the right sort of circuit for him to be making them at. So let's see what's on the horizon for Jan Halliday, but as you mentioned earlier, it's all quite on the western front, towards the front for now. Larry Tolkien, Angelo D'Ortenzio, quite content with the places they're sat in at the moment.
They are at the moment. That's a move for Jan Halliday, as you discussed about him overtaking. I mean, I was able to make a whole reel of him just overtaking at Austin, Texas, as well, to round up the race. That is how much overtaking he can do. Unfortunately, your screen freezes for Rapasa, which is why he teleported back in such a way to lose so many places. And yes, that one will hurt. We can now only focus on the job at hand, try to see whether there's any opportunity to try and move forward. Talking about moving forward, that applies to Quintino, one of the drivers fighting for his F2 career. Same applies to Hietala, same applies to Fanzelter, and Fanzelter trying to also make the move as well as he tucks in the slipstream. Not the only one, we've got a battle as well going on in third position at the moment. Oh, nothing to separate Ranieri and Lukumski, who just about manages to get by, and now Rashan Jacob is also going to try and get through as well. Lukumski parking the car 3 wide into the final corner. That's brave stuff and then some as Lukumski loses places. Up goes Jacobs, gaining 2, and Ranieri's in 4th. One word was dramatic as we see some pit stops coming further back.
Indeed, yeah, pit stop starting with Florian Fanzelter and Luca Rapasa both into that pit lane now, but Ranieri, Rashan Jacobs, Lukumski all battling hammer and tong there, and Rashan Jacobs really coming out the better of that one. 2 places gained, 1 foul swoop, not a bad place to be for Rashan Jacobs, who now slots into 3rd, and we're really beginning to see now the difference in the pace on these tyres. We're definitely seeing those hard tyres giving a lot more pace and performance, and I dare say as well, Angelo D'Ortenzio a lot closer to Larry Tolkien than he has been on the last couple of laps, so I wonder if we could even see a change for the lead on this lap as well. But there's a lot of drivers getting very close to one another here as we head on to that long back straight, and this is really where you can make all of the overtake moves in the world, and Angelo D'Ortenzio fancies his chances up into P1 and into the race lead as Jan Halliday gets ahead of the other Ferrari. So as one moves up, one moves down, and Jan Halliday is moving up into that 8th place, and he will hopefully continue his charge forward as the hards seem to just get better and better. And Rashan Jacobs, I gotta say as well, was really putting on the pressure. Ortenzio in many other drivers in as well, as we see Ranielli and Lakomsky both in as well. Tony Kiesler joining them at the end of that one. So now, hard tyre runners left into a bit of a world of their own, and Rishan Jacobs, you've got to say, in a good place with Liam Stevens nowhere near him.
All starting to play out, isn't it? When it comes to the pit stop phase of this contest. There's already some great on-track action heading as well. Some great overtaking out there on this venue, as I mentioned. And now the pit stop phase, it'll be interesting to see where everyone is going to come out in comparison to one another. It can all change around here in a Las Vegas race. As of course you have those drivers going longer on the hard compound of tyres. Of course we've got some drivers pitting earlier and one another as well on the medium. So it is all an interesting part of this contest, one that will go a long way in deciding our race winner today as well. Talking about our race winner, the race lead in the balance at the moment is Tulki versus Rishan Jacobs. Two different strategies playing out, and we've got worn medium tyres being passed by the hards, who will now be, which now will be utilised by Rishan Jacobs, who takes the lead, as will Alvarez of Halliday in the front. Tulki, of course, coming now into the pit lane. Liam Stevens, though, continuing on.
Indeed, yeah, Liam Stevens continuing on those Asian medium tyres, as does Molnar, Sabrino and Sabakonyi. So quite a few drivers staying out a little bit longer than even I was expecting them to stay out. So definitely an interesting choice of strategy there. But is it the correct one? Well, Van Zelter, fastest lap of the race so far. You've got to say the mediums are, and they are working very, very well for those who have got them on. Sorry, mind blank. But you've got to say, Rishan Jacobs looking good at the moment. So yeah, definitely going to be quite happy with the position he's in. Showed good pace, and he knows that he's going to have the better strategy on the other side of this one as well, because he's going to be in a very nice place. As yeah, a bit of a shuffling going on my screen, and my game has decided to give up. That's always fun. I think I need to leave and rejoin the session.
Absolutely. Oh, what a disappointment. What a disappointment.
welcome back to PSGL PCF2. After a lot of crashes, a lot of the game just being the game, we should be back for the rest of the stream, and we are back to some action as Rishan Jacobs and Simon Lekomsky go side by side. Lekomsky now with a penalty, but they will do battle nonetheless here as we are getting this race back underway. Lekomsky though, vulnerable into turn number 1 and with a bit of damage to the car as well, now finds himself down, losing a couple of places as Omi leaves the session and has an issue, I'm presuming. I am no longer having an issue, so we're going to roll with it. We're going to hope it all works fine and dandy. It's good to know that it's not just me having issues in this race, and other people are as well.
For you, and then as soon as it works for you, then it doesn't work for me. Good thing.
Yeah, the same things just happened to me.